Time is 6:09. The date is April 8th, 9th, 2024. Preside Craig Simmons, District 2, Chairperson Desmond McLean is out. Sick leave, so first we'll start with roll call. District 1,
Here.
District 2, Craig Simmons here. District 3, Lauren B. Smith.
Present.
District 4 is vacant. District 5, Desmond McLean is absent. Tax Commission appointee Cynthia Cornell.
Present.
Antonio Taylor.
Present.
Public Spirits Court selected all the members, vacant, Felicia Harrell. Absent. First thing on the agenda would be the board vote for approval of meeting minutes for 3/12/24. I take a motion on, if everybody has reviewed them.
I'll make a motion to approve those.
A second.
The motion has been moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Uh,
All opposed? Ayes have it. We approve the meeting minutes. General updates given by the Ethics Administrator.
Good afternoon or evening, Board. On behalf of our Ethics Administrator Gloria Bannister, we have two updates. The first one is in regards to the open board seat. We have two applicants that have met all of the requirements for District 4 seat. Interviews with the grand jury are set for April 18th. We're hoping to have a new board member sworn in by April 26th. The second update will be in regards to discussions in regards to the billing and whether or not the board will want to switch the flat fee or stay hourly for general counsel. So that will probably be done in executive session.
Okay, so we'll take that for executive session. So, any motion for acceptance of the general updates by the administrator?
make a motion to accept the updates. A second.
Has been moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays have the same right. It has been approved. Next on the agenda, the presentation by the Ethics Officer, disclosure of 2024 DCI, Andy Welch as General Counsel for Lindsay and Carity.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I do see that it does not appear that my general updates are on the amended agenda. I will ask the chair if we can amend the agenda to add general updates by the ethics officer before we go into the disclosure, to add that as an agenda item. I don't see it on here. So the board could,
Put a motion on the floor. So anybody will put a motion, to accept to move, to change the agenda to
add general updates by the ethics officer.
add the general updates by the ethics officer.
I'll make a motion to add general updates by the ethics officer prior to presentation of 2024 DC1.
Yeah,
A second.
it has been moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, have the same right. It has been approved that we're going to make a motion to move the agenda.
I believe we will also need a motion to add an executive session after F to discuss as it relates to, general counsel.
I make that motion to add an executive session after presentation.
A second.
It has been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, have the same right. Has been approved that we move the executive session.
Thank you, Vice Chair. As it relates to the general updates for the ethics officer, we have a county meeting with the county, or a meeting with the county manager on April 24th. The purpose of that meeting is to discuss the virtual training platform that you all know that has been completed has been uploaded to Power DMS to see how we can start implementing that. The elections office has been using that for the last about 3 months successfully. They haven't had any issues, so we want to meet with the county manager to, one, talk about how to start blasting that out for all of the high volume departments like fire and things of that nature. And two, to have a better collaboration for people who have not taken training. Talking to her about the repercussions that the county could implement for them not taking the training and making sure they're abiding by the code as well. So we'll have some updates from that meeting in our May meeting about how that, the meeting with the county manager went. The second update is, the Cobb County, if you all recall, invited our board to an ethics forum that will be held on April 11th from 11 to 2. Just want to remind the board that you all are welcome to attend as well. I will be there. I'm actually sitting as a panelist. Gloria will be there as well. And if anybody needed the directions or more information on that, Gloria can send that out.
What's the date again? I'm sorry.
April the
Thursday.
11th.
Thursday.
It's Thursday from 11 to 2.
It's just gonna be a general, meeting.
Yes, the topics include the best practice in ethics, the goals of the ethics board or a ethics board, and politics of ethics. It appears to be a collaboration that is hosted by the Cobb County for boards, various boards in our region to kind of come together, strategize, talk about how we can do things as an ethics board throughout each respective counties.
What building would that be here in?
Let's see. It is going to be 178 Sam Street in Decatur.
Sam Street?
Downtown Decatur.
And it's gonna be doors open at 11 o'clock.
Is that the Maloof building?
I am not familiar with the area.
No, that should be off East Hunts. The Blue Building should be off East Hunts.
Sam, was that one that come in by the project?
You know, Sam Cross was one by Avondale train station.
Oh, yeah, the cross, look across the bridge. Gotcha.
I'll send out all the information to the board, just in case anyone would like to attend. It's open to all.
No, it's gonna be, the dates you can be.
Good second.
Thank you.
You're talking about the thing for tomorrow?
Thursday.
Thursday, the ethics forum for the Cobb County.
I was wondering about that, because when I got a, thank you, Felicia, we'll see you on Thursday. Am I the only one right now signed up?
Well, Gloria is going. I'm going as well.
I meant to sign up. That was my
I was
question.
gonna
It's
sign
too
up.
late.
I do not believe it's too late.
At first, I
Okay.
think they was saying that we were gonna probably be a panelist, but I don't think so. I
Okay,
think-
we're not.
Yes,
okay.
correct. She just clarified it, so thank you.
Any questions regarding that?
No,
Okay.
so we had to sign up.
Yeah,
But it's not
well, they'll
too
send you an email, it's not too late. I can bring a plus one, don't worry.
I'm pretty sure it's not today. The last update we have is, in regards to case updates. If you all remember, at our last meeting, we discussed the service of Mr. Key. The board gave us approval to hire a private process server to run the skip trace and attempt to get him served. He was personally served on March 22nd. What that means for the board is he has 30 days to give us an answer. If he does not, then this will be coming back before the board in our next meeting for possibly a default hearing. But now he has adequate personal service. On our John Doe versus Vivian Thomas, this goes into one of the things in which I would need the board to vote to remove from the agenda. We have been notified actually today that we are within our 60-day time frame for the primary election. So the primary elections right now are between, I believe it's April, it may be like April 19th to May 17th, something of that nature is the primary election time frame. pursuant to Senate Bill 22, we cannot have any hearings against a commissioner if it's within 60 days of an election. So it was brought to our attention today, actually, that we are within those 60 days. Because of that, we would need to, one, suspend our final hearing that is currently set for May 14th until after that time frame, and two, table what is currently on the agenda as F, which is a probable cause hearing, John Doe versus Vivian Thomas, until after that time frame as well.
Would it be until after the election or until after?
It will be after the primary election. So right now, we're within that 60 days of the primary, but the general election is in November. So there's a time frame about June, between June and July, according to my calculations, that we can go back and hear the final hearing and this probable cause. But we would have to wait until after that time frame.
I have a question.
Mhm.
When did we initially try to schedule a hearing date
For which case? The time?
for the 2022 EB3? How long have we been trying to schedule? Isn't this one that has council?
Had council.
Had council,
Council withdrew,
okay.
so no longer has council. On this particular case, we were scheduling it for last year. The board voted to put all hearings on hold until they got general counsel and they can figure out some liability issues. And so this is the first time we've tried to reschedule it since taking the lift off of final hearings.
Okay, so I guess my next question is then what, I understand we can't have the hearing during that time frame. My next question is why would we not go ahead and have the presentation on a probable cause case if it's a different matter?
Because we can't do anything according to Senate Bill 22 on a complaint when it's within that time frame. I can bring it up for you specifically.
It will prejudice the campaign, like the voters' opinion. Potentially, potentially.
Yeah, well, there's already a case out. I mean,
So the code says that, any complaint filed against an elected official within 60 days of an election in which such official is a candidate for public office shall not be acted upon until such election is concluded and certified.
okay, so it's complaint and hearing. Okay,
Any action on the complaint, which is why we can't even do the probable cause. Because that would be an action on the complaint.
okay.
Attorney Bullock, we had also looked at, maybe like, June 11th as a possible date. Can we go ahead and secure it for June 11th?
We can look into that. I'll have, our Ask Gloria to reach out to the court and see if that date is still available. Because that should be within that time frame. If not, then we'll reach back out to the board and ask for a couple more dates.
Okay.
It's my goal to have both of these matters heard as soon as possible, because we have a very short window between the primary 60-day window and the general 60-day window.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of my concern there is that if we were given the complaint well before and had the opportunity to have a hearing prior to the election, in my opinion, either way, that if there are complaints that are outstanding prior to the election or not, I mean, there's still complaints. There's still the allegations, whether they're held over someone's head or not. I mean, I feel like that's still something that we as a board should make that, clarify that as to why we are putting this down the road.
And I think Attorney Bullock did that in saying that, according to the Senate bill.
Yeah,
we can't
absolutely.
move forward with it.
And because the original delay was not, Commissioner Thomas's, former Commissioner
Certainly.
Thomas's, it wasn't her fault.
Yeah.
It was our doing,
Yeah.
so it would be penalizing her during the time.
Certainly.
And I will let the board know, I did, reach out to the complainant for the probable cause, had a conversation, make sure they understood why it was not moving forward tonight as well. So they'll just be in the loop
And they should know that.
Yeah,
should
and
know
they
the game.
do. I typically like to keep complainants up to date,
Yeah,
and not just to wait for a board meeting for them to have to hear it, but
Mhm.
and sometimes they have questions.
yeah, I appreciate that.
So the complainant does know that the issue is that. So I would need for
What did
the
the complainant say? The complainant understanding of that?
they didn't have any questions.
They did.
So we need to entertain a motion to remove item F off of the agenda and table it to after the election, so we fall within the 60-day time frame.
I make that motion.
Motion has been made and second that we table item F on the agenda since it's fall within the 60-day time frame to after the primary election. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes that we table it to after the primary election. What's the primary election date again? Is May 21st?
I believe so.
That's all for our case updates. Vice Chair, at your pleasure, I will go right into presentation of the disclosure, if that's okay.
That's fine. We move right into disclosure.
We have 2024 DC 1. I'm a disclosure by Lindsay McGarity. Mr. McGarity is a board member for Henry County Water Authority. He made a disclosure on March 14, 2024. Pursuant to that disclosure, he was sworn in as a new member of the Water Authority Board. He represents District 3. During his first board meeting, there was an agenda that included a discussion regarding the extension 3919 Jolico Road sewer lift station and FM extension project. Mr. Lindsay recognized this as being in an area in which he owns property, not only him, but also his family. He disclosed that to the board. He also indicated that he thought it could be present a conflict of interest, and he recused himself and left his first meeting, essentially, as it relates to this topic. What I did was I investigated a couple of various different things. We're gonna refer to this as the project. Basically, what it is when former Commissioner Thomas was in office, she wanted sewer to expand down into her district, which is District 4. At that time, there was concern that there were not enough businesses. If everybody knows where that Hardee's area kind of deteriorated, there were not enough businesses to keep that area up and going because there's no sewer, and businesses will not come where there's no sewer. So essentially what happened was in 2002, you'll see this resolution. I put a copy before all of the board members as well. That's resolution 22316. And at that time, the county agreed to provide Henry County Water Authority with funds to complete various projects that each commissioner wanted in their particular district, if the Henry County Water Authority would agree to complete the project. So they entered into this resolution in 2022, which indicated that they would do this work. So I reviewed the resolution in this. Did anybody have any questions about the resolution itself? You can see Exhibit A is part of the projects that they wanted to do. The particular project in question is on Exhibit B. You can see that as well. It looks like it's actually number 6. And then other projects as well. So this is what they negotiated with the Water Authority. As you all know, as we have learned as well, the Water Authority is its own pretty much governmental institution. So they couldn't, each commissioner wanted certain projects, but they could not force the Water Authority to do it. So that's why they entered into this resolution, and they agreed ultimately that they would complete the projects for the commissioners. I also reviewed the March 14 minutes. The March 14th minutes are the minutes of the day that Mr. McGarity recused himself. I wanted to verify that this was actually an agenda item before he got sworn in. It wasn't something that was added. It was already set to be discussed at that time. So I put that before you all as well. I believe the last thing I put before you all, I didn't put it on the slide, is I actually went back to look at their December minutes in 2022, where they actually discussed this project as well. I also interviewed the executive director, Mr. Tony Carnell. Mr. Tony Carnell has been the executive director since this project has been discussed, since it's come before the board. He advised that the project was in place far beyond Mr. McGarity even being appointed as a board member. The sewer that's being installed that is not going to extend to Mr. McGarity's family property. He said that actually Mr. McGarity already has sewer at his personal property, and all of his family has sewer at their property. I did ask if he believed that this would be any direct or indirect benefit to Mr. McGarity in any way. And of course, he said, well, he can't say that it will be a direct benefit because they already have sewer. But it could, I guess, argument's sake, be indirect because the whole point is to bring businesses there, to attract businesses. Well, some of that land and businesses or area is owned by the McGarity family, includes that gas station. So by way of more businesses coming, the gas station may get more business, so it could indirectly
There's a Costco
impact.
across the bridge. I mean, there's literally a Costco across the bridge now. Of course, there's gonna be massive growth in that area. I mean, there's been talk of the Whole Foods, there's been talk of Sprouts, sorry, yeah. I mean, that entire area is about to be just like Jonesboro Road.
Which is a problem for me living off Jericho.
Yeah, and that's a problem for me
I mean,
living in
it's not so
District
much the
3.
traffic. I applaud the new businesses. It's the type of businesses we're adding that seem to be redundant in Warren County,
They are.
that really don't change the dynamic of what this community and the richness of what this community can offer, which could positively affect the increase in value in the area. I think we're doing much of the same, and a lot of what we could be doing could look very different. So as people love going to Costco, I don't see it as a plus, personally.
I think it takes away from local businesses, local small businesses, as far as, I mean, everything. I
It
mean,
takes away from the character of the suburban community
It does.
that was building along the Jota Cove, in that whole golf course area. There's much more, in community golf trails, like golf cart trails, well, that could have been added, that could have brought to me more financial value for the.
You also have the
homeowners.
school right there. I mean, you also have Eagles Landing, middle school and high school.
But the increased, number of apartments negatively affect
I
the schools because you have more transients coming and going.
Completely agree.
And we don't have the real support, financial support of bringing from the center.
I mean, I certainly understand the need for adequate sewage for all of this growth. However, my concern is that we are not doing enough prior planning before all this growth is here. I went out to that new Costco right after it was built. They didn't even have a red light working. And that's just like the new Kroger on 155. They opened a new red light literally the day it opened. And
That's typically the process, though. Red lights and all that stuff always come after the construction.
well,
'Cause
red
what they're gonna
lights,
do,
yeah,
they're gonna go and they're gonna survey the traffic.
yeah.
And then they'll.
But this is water, this is sewage, this is drinking water, this is at being able, like this board meeting minutes from 2022. I mean, they say, update concerning nitrate issues at Walnut Creek, advised the authority received a notice of violation from the EPD. However, there are no fines associated with this. Authority has 90 days to prepare an action plan. My concerns is, if that's what they were saying in 2021 that particular sewer processing plant was at 80% capacity. I live on Elliott Road. I can tell you within 2 mile radius of my house, there are at least 4 brand new subdivisions. Each one of them having at least 50 houses. So, I mean, the growth for me as far as traffic, yes, traffic light signage, I get all of that. But basic infrastructure that you're adding all of this growth, if we can't accommodate who we already have here, you're negatively impacting everyone. If they're already having violations from the EPD, I mean, come on. But this is,
Well, with any growth, we're gonna have to increase the infrastructure, so, or just the plumbing system. You can't really develop the area the way that they need to without the plumbing, so I understand that, I don't know that I object to that at all, but my question is, before these folks are sworn on this board, are they not doing enough of a background check to see that there are, conflicts of interest?
well, these are two.
That's my question.
Those two particular members have been here for, I mean, that's a kind of
I think
a,
Henry's about to start dealing with everybody that's dealing with. Most people get on boards because they have interest within it.
I know.
So,
So for the Water Authority Board specifically, each board member is appointed by a commissioner.
Mhm.
So this board member was appointed by District 3 Commissioner.
D. Anglin.
Uh,
District 3
yes,
is D.
yes,
Anglin,
mhm.
yes.
But this project was for
Which is
District
another-
4.
Name that has been in this town for decades and decades.
And so Mr. McGarity was appointed under District 3, but the conflict arises because he has property in District 4, and the project was spearheaded by a District 4 commissioner who was Ms. Thomas at the time.
okay.
So I included both of those meeting minutes for you all. And when I reviewed the meetings for 2022, it explained a little better as it relates to that funding. So basically, what appeared to happen is Henry County got what they call ARPA fundings during COVID. And the Water Authority needed some of those funding, so it was a trade-off of, we'll give you the funding to be able to do what you do if you agree that you will construct the projects that we want you to help us construct. As it relates to the disclosure itself, I'll just remind the board what an interest is, and that's any direct or indirect pecuniary or material benefit that is held by accruing to an official or employee as a result of a contract or transaction which he or she may be subject to, the action or with Henry County. This is a direct resolution with the county, with the board itself, and he obviously would have some type of possible interest in it. Not only would he have an interest in it, but he would be deemed to have an interest because he has immediate family that has business as well over there.
Teresa, I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you, but if you don't mind, would you go back to the slide?
Sure.
Of the minutes of when he was sworn in?
This one?
Yeah. I'm just curious, he was sworn in by former Judge Art McGarity?
That's what I mean, if I wasn't there.
Okay, I'm just curious, does Judge McGarity is he still on the bench? I thought he retired in 2018.
No, he retired. It says, what do you mean? Yeah, he retired.
Okay. I'm
He
just
still
curious.
sits for cases, I do know that.
I'm just curious with the last name in common.
I don't know their relation.
I do, but that's all right.
What would it be?
We can move on.
Well, put it out there.
Senate Bill 22 requires an official or employee who has an interest to make a disclosure to the board, which is why we have disclosure before us. The board has a duty to give an opinion as to the propriety of such interest. I will give the board my recommendation. Based on my review of everything that was provided, my review of the minutes, the opinion to be given is whether the behavior is fitting or if there is a conflict. As to the terms of the agreement, they were established before Mr. McGarity was appointed to the board. It does not appear that Mr. McGarity influenced this project in any way. It was a District 4 project. He currently sits for District 3 appointee. It was in 2022. He replaced, if you all remember, Jimmy Carter, Mr. Jimmy Carter. He passed away, so he replaced him. Conditioned on Mr. McGarity continuing to always recuse himself on all matters in regards to this project, I believe there would not be a conflict of interest. That concludes my presentations. Is there any questions as it relates to this disclosure? I know some board members had some questions. Did I answer all your questions that you had?
My biggest question was as to, Mr. Welch.
Did you see my last answer to
I
that?
did not.
Okay, I apologize
That's
then.
it.
He is representing Mr. McGarity as the individual.
Okay. So,
Which one is that, Mr. McGarry, who's in District 4,
In District 3.
but in District 3?
Mhm.
The project is in four.
Projects in 4.
he owns property in Ford, but he lives in three, I guess,
I'm assuming that's the only way he probably could get appointed.
into District
Mhm.
Three, yeah, okay. You guys already know my opinion on the water authority. I think they have way too much power. I think it's kind of ridiculous that we have to have resolutions with the Board of Commissioners and the Henry County Water Authority to get something done. Like that just seems counterintuitive to me. I understand the way the board is written, we really can't do anything. I don't believe that Mr. McGarity has done anything in any way to, he's disclosing that he could have an interest here. I appreciate that. But I gotta tell you, this is the second disclosure we've gotten from Andy Welch. And he is general counsel for Henry County Water Authority. It says right here on their board meeting minutes, counsel, Andy Welch, Smith, Welch, Webb, and White. If he is representing these board members in their individual capacity, and he is also representing Henry County Water Authority, I need him to be very clear about who is paying those attorney's fees.
I did ask that question. The board members have to pay him individually. It cannot come out of the water authority budget. That was a discussion had with the executive director. I had that same question.
Cover all bases.
So basically, their rules allow for the council, general counsel to represent individuals in individual capacity and still represent the water board in the same capacity, or
So long as it wouldn't be a conflict of interest. So if the water board, if one of the members were doing misfeasance, if they were doing something that would be a direct conflict to the good of the water authority, and those are bar rules in general, then there would be a direct conflict and he would not be able to represent the water authority and an individual. His first obligation would always have to be the water authority. But if if they're in line with if they're in line ethically, then there's no conflict. And because the Senate Bill 22 requires disclosures by board members, they only have to do it because they are a member of the board, then it's in line in the betterment of the board itself. Then he could represent them individually.
So I guess my point there is to Mr. Carter's disclosure, when they sold that piece, or were selling that piece of property to his family for, what was the price of that again? Something like $600 an acre or something, what it came out to. I mean, $50,000. I don't feel like that would have been in the Henry County Water Authority's best interest to sell that property for that amount of money.
I think the board would have to make that determination because ultimately the board voted to allow the property to be sold, so they thought it was in their best interest.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's still, you're walking a real tight line between conflicts of interest there. That's all I'm gonna put out there for Mr. Welch. He's walking a real tight line of conflicts of interest, in my opinion. And I've been here 4 months. So that's all I've got to say about it.
We need to entertain a motion of,
A motion
Yeah.
on whether or not this would be deemed a conflict of interest for Mr. Lindsey McCreary.
the recommendation was again.
My recommendation that there is not a conflict of interest based on when the project started, the players that who initiated the project, and contingent on the fact that he always recused himself
That's the big
on
part.
any discussions or anything as it relates to this project.
Yeah, that's a big part. He can't be penalized for owning the business. He's doing everything he's supposed to do. He's owning land. It is what it is.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion from the board members that is there a conflict of interest or is there not?
It says not. I would like to make a motion if it's not a conflict of interest.
Second that.
It been moved in second. All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. All opposed? Motion passes, there's no conflict of interest deemed, so therefore, we'll move next.
Make a motion to move to executive session. Yes. A second.
One moment, please.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, did you all
We're about to.
No, I was getting ready to- you say, hold on, that's how I stop.
go? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
It has been moved and second, of moving to executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Board moves into executive session.
Israel, if you can pause the live for us, please.
Yeah, y'all really have to take that.
Yeah.
Y'all had a brain candy. Y'all don't pay me anything.
That Carlos? Okay, I would like to make a motion that we vote on the personnel matter that we just discussed in executive session.
I second that.
I can make motion, or do you have to make motion?
I make the motion that we accept the personnel matter we just discussed in the executive session.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Back to executive session, separate personnel. Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn until next month.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is adjourned. 7:05.